Alright. Just wait to see if people come in, and then we can start. People were asking for, well, at least one person was asking for another stream today, so I thought I would, oblige that person. And it looks like at the moment we have one viewer. Don't be shy. Feel free to make your presence known. Oops, sorry about that. Oh, me. So what do we want to talk about today, folks? Anything on your minds? Questions, comments? Virtually no topic is off limits. Within reason, of course. Within reason. Hello there. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name on YouTube, but hope you're doing well. Six viewers at this point. Would appreciate it if you would consider giving a like. Really helps. Hey, Lightstar. If I'm not mistaken, you're the one that asked if I would do a stream today, so yeah. It's always good to see you in the chat. Hello, is it Vanch? I do apologize if I butchered your name. Doing alright. Yes, that is my cat. In case you didn't know, or in case I didn't make this clear to anyone, the reason why I don't have my camera on is because I'm doing this through a phone, and I don't have the setup to stream from my phone without holding it in one of my hands. So, you know, if I need to do something, or want to do something, I appreciate the sub, appreciate the likes. Well, every like helps. Yesterday I earned 10 subscribers, which was very impressive. Ah, well then, yeah, it's probably good that I don't do that. Also, was it you or someone else? I've had at least one or two people ask to donate, but I hesitate to do so because that's just one or two people. I'm not gonna do that, because I don't want people to think that I'm asking for something. That just wouldn't be right to me. Now, if a lot of people started saying that, I might consider it, but I don't want to give the impression that I'm begging for anything. Who wrongfully calls the police on YouTubers? You mean when they show their faces when they show their faces during streams? That's crazy. If I mean I believe you, but that's crazy. I mean crazy things have happened, so obviously it's not impossible or unlikely. I guess I should stop being surprised by. Wow. Yeah. Well, then I just won't use my camera from this point forward. I mean, unfortunately, people don't really need much of a. Unfortunately, people don't need much of a reason to call the cops on someone. They could just do it just because. But yeah, as I was saying, I really don't want to do that unless a lot of people started asking for it, and even then, I probably still wouldn't do it because my goal here is to gain a base of followers first, and hopefully at some point reach 500 subs. That's At this point, that's pretty much my end goal. Uh, we'll see if that happens. Oh, how popular was it, if I may ask? Yeah, I would just feel really slimy about that myself. Cause I mean, it's one thing if this probably would never happen, but it'd be one thing if, say, a rich person was like, I want to donate $10,000 to you. Then I might be like, all right, you're rich, you can afford it. But anyone else, no. Because, people will give money even when they can't afford to do so. And, I mean, you obviously can't tell them what to do, but I'm not going to be a contributor to somebody's homelessness or inability to pay their bills. That's amazing. Whew. Maybe I should find a way to partner up with you. Because, man. What does search engine optimization words mean? Why would somebody call the cops on a person for doing that? Were they certain trigger words that made people uncomfortable? Made them, you know, wrongfully assume that you were a suspicious character? Because unfortunately, I feel like it doesn't take much for a person to come to that conclusion. Ah, okay, yeah. You mean just saying the word? Look, I understand that people are sensitive, but my God. What's next? Is a person gonna say, "Hey, I've got lunch on me right now. I'm about to eat," and they assume that it means something else? Also, kind of, also shame on the cops for even accepting such a call and looking into it. But then again, we know they're not particularly professional. Uh, Not here, at least. Ah, yeah. People are sensitive for the wrong reasons. What we should be outraged about, we don't seem to be outraged about. I feel like if people truly cared about those things being addressed, they'd be taken care. Those things would be taken care of, but they aren't. Yeah, it's a shame that there's so many people out there who want to do that to someone. I doubt it is. I doubt that. There are vindictive people out there. There are people who just want to destroy someone's credibility, either because they just loathe themselves so much that they feel like they need to bring you down to their level, or uh, I'm very sorry to hear that. That sounds awful. It just goes to show you that even politicians that are doing their jobs only have so much sway. I feel like people assume that, when you have a president like Obama or Biden, that it just magically means everything's going to get better, and that's not at all the truth. Because the president is not responsible for things at the local level. Because they're trying to oversee the entire country. Because that's what it's their job to do that. Um, and it astounds me how not everybody realizes that being the case. I guess they seem to think that a president has godlike power and can just make things happen. But you know it needs to be all hands on deck. I'm so sorry to hear that. Were there only a way for me to assist you in getting that back somehow? But I mean, hey, I'm a measly 100 something on here, so I don't really know what I could do. I mean, one of the thing, it sounds overly ambitious, but one of the things really would love to do is kind of establish a group of people and oh no, I'm well aware of that. I'm just saying that to me nobody should have to go through things alone and everybody uh basically a person should be given help even if they're not asked, even if they don't ask for it. That might not have came across. That might not have might I might not have worded that the right way. Yeah. I don't think I think most people don't see themselves as influencers. It just kind of happens. Look at musicians for example. They just want to entertain people, but a lot of them end up becoming influencers just by happenstance. And when they say something in their music, people take it to heart, uh, which then causes controversy. Mine was all right. Number four MK, just all right though. Um, I don't know if I can say this on here, but a friend of mine who I was with, he had bought a bunch of fireworks, uh, and he was, firing them off. Uh, and let's just say a little bit of an accident happened. Uh, no one was hurt, but there was a little bit of a let's just say I'm honestly surprised that nobody called the fire department after what happened. It was a small fire, very small, and contained, but uh, yeah. So that happened. Hey, Jazzy. Yeah, Kim Kardashian. That's awful. I don't know if I offended somebody or they just decided that this stream was boring because I think I lost a like. Not that that's that big of a deal. Um, yeah. I don't mean to. I mean, I highly doubt they would ever see this, but I don't mean to be nasty. Uh, Appreciate that. Um, I could have just been seeing things that might not have actually been up to 5 likes. Um, as I said, I don't mean to be nasty to them, but the vibe that I get from the Kardashian family is that they're just incredibly selfish and could care less about anyone else that's not in their orbit. Uh, uh, could care less about anyone that's not in their orbit. That's the vibe I get from them, and I mean, based on what I've heard about them, it's probably correct. But again, I don't know. Majority of rich people tend to be selfish, even the ones that we think are better than the rest. They have their issues. That's why you should really never trust a rich person unless you were to meet them and actually have a particularly pleasant experience. Yeah, that's true. I wouldn't be surprised if that family didn't care about their own members. Yeah, that would make sense. That would make sense. But I also recognize that to say that there's nothing good about them is oversimplifying things. I mean, some people believe that. I don't know. I had a psychologist at one point who believed that OJ was innocent and also believed that Bill Cosby was innocent. And I won't go into why because, don't want to cause any outrage or create any controversy, but um, Ray J. Why does that name sound familiar? Wasn't he an R&B artist? Or am I thinking of a guy called Ray Gay? Yeah. I'm trying to remember the name, but there's this football player who became like a huge political influencer for Republicans. And he does all these videos where he'll make a ridiculous statement while he's got some kind of food in front of him. And he usually films while in restaurants. Like you'll see him at a is that his name? You'll see him at a like a Five Guys. You'll see him with like a plate of pasta. You'll see him with some sushi. He's always eating something. At one point, I thought about parodying him and recording like shorts of myself with food in front of my face and like saying truthful things, but I didn't think that that would go over too well. But yeah, that man. Back in the midnight. Yeah. Speaking of Michael Jackson, like I get it, but he was demonized. It depends on what you mean by Republicans. True Republicans that have values and actually care about human rights, I am a fan of. But the ones that are in now, no, they're simply self-serving. They're not Republicans at all. I refuse to call this administration Republican because they're not. They're a brand new party that just uses that same name. I mean, that's the very same reason why you would see Republicans speaking out against them. It's why McCain was anti-Trump. It's why Uh, is it Adam Kinzinger is anti Trump? Like the ones that are against him, they're the real Republicans. The ones that are with him, they're not. Hey there, not assemble. How's it going? So I would never say that I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a. That, I wouldn't say that I'm not a fan of them. But what this party is, yeah, I'm not a fan of this party. Yeah, and people took that the wrong way. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still odd. Uh, but I mean, look, if it was revealed that Michael Jackson actually did a lot of the things he was convicted of, then obviously I'm gonna believe that if it's proven without any doubt. But as of right now, yeah. You know what you could say instead of that word? You could say nail file or nail clipper. Where am I from? I mean, obviously, I'm from the United States. I'm from Pennsylvania. I'll tell you something, though. I remember years ago, my grandfather. Obviously, this was back when he was still uh, considered a Democrat, but he hated Trump, and he pretty much said that if he ever ran for president, he would never vote for him. And this was on Fox News. Uh, but yeah, I'm in Pennsylvania, and like I don't think people realize that this is not about parties, you know, and most voters who did go for him don't actually know the truth about him. Have I been demonized? No. Actually, yesterday I was so as I said I was with a friend of mine yesterday, and he was going over uh the apartment of somebody in his complex. Uh, asked him if I could tag along. They were having a cookout. They were doing burgers and stuff. And I go in there, and at some point, uh, I forget. He says something about Trump, and he says, just to let you know, we're Trump supporters here. And then he basically said, I don't care who you support. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, this tells me that there's a lot of people that support Trump that actually are decent human beings. They just, for whatever reason, don't realize the man's true colors. I guarantee you, if they saw his true colors and there was nothing that could hide it from them, they would no longer be for the man. And we've already seen supporters of his speak out against him. Yeah, let's not talk about that here, please. That's just horrific. Um, we're not going to be talking about that sort of stuff. Uh, yeah, but here's the thing. A lot of people weren't made privy to his actions like we would have wanted. Think of it like this. An explosion everybody will hear and know actually happened. But something that you have to. How do I want to say this? I almost hesitate to use the metaphor I wanted to go with because it has to do with something that um all right. Imagine if the thing that I believe we need to, that we have to realize is they would need to see him do something that could not be hidden to fully grasp reality. Um, I mean, obviously, there's always going to be people that support somebody no matter what, but like we've already seen clips of supporters stating that they messed up. I saw one clip of a person who flat out admitted it was one of the dumbest things he ever did. Well, that's the thing, is that even though we know that to be true, people would actually have to have seen that happen. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just explaining to you that the reality is because of misinformation and people not trusting the media and not trusting the words of people. Yeah, they would have actually needed to see, and I apologize for saying it like this, they would actually have needed to see video footage of that happening to fully grasp that, yes, this happened. Um, that's not me suggesting that, people should be shown anything like that. How does a deceased person? And as for the court system, I mean, our system of law has never really been particularly great. And it's a really sad reality. Um, and it's no wonder that so many people believe that the law only defends the rich because it really does seem to be that way. It's nowhere near as simple as that, but it really does seem to be that way. But anyway, simply put, there are certain things you cannot spend. Um, it's just like think of it like this. Let's say a law was put in place that would only um, take effect this year, and people start seeing, I don't know, like things improving for them. They're going to assume that the person who's currently in charge made that happen, not recognizing the fact that it was put in by the last person. They don't understand that things take time to happen. It should be obvious because you can't just snap your fingers and make things law. It takes time. Um, and so, that's why they're able to easily spin it and say, hey, all these great things you're seeing, that was me. And then when the bad stuff comes into effect, it doesn't come into effect until another person is in charge and they get blamed for it. So, you know. It gets harder and harder to uh, have any faith in humanity. I've been a cynical for I've been a cynic for decades. Uh, Probably even as far back as when I was still a teenager. Um, and it's only gotten worse. And the more time goes on, the more I say to myself, "Yep, I knew this was going to happen," or "This seems like something that I would have expected to happen." Uh, because it's like I keep getting proven right. Um, and it's exhausting. Uh, to put it simply. It feels like there's literally nothing you can do. Well, let's see. I'm 36 now, and I'm even more cynical than I was in the past. So, there's kind of a double-edged sword to having freedom of speech. It allows you to say things without being harmed, but then it also allows those who wish to harm you with their words to do so without any repercussions. And so it's like, should we really have across the board freedom of speech, or should it be limited in some ways? That's going to outrage people because they'll think, oh, you're infringing upon my rights, even though what they'd be trying to do is make it so that they can't say anything harmful or um, incorrect, which allows them to dig their claws into you and then start controlling you. Um, makes being a human really hard. That's why I envy animals, because they don't know anything at all about what's going on with humans civilization. It's baffling to me that people my age are just as bad as previous generations. I thought we were supposed to be more intelligent and aware of things, but evidently I was wrong. I saw this. There's this person I went to school with. who I followed on Facebook, and he made this disgusting comment about people that are trans. And he referred to them as being mentally ill and saying that they needed to be put into. I forget exactly what he said, but he more or less suggested that they need to be put into a institution and not um, go through surgery to, the surgery that the what's the word? Why am I struggling to find the word? It's transition surgery. Um, and I was like, wow, how can somebody my age think this? And I blew up on him. I mean, it's a good thing we weren't in person because I probably would have screamed right in his face. He probably would have tried to hit me, and that's what would have started some kind of physical altercation. But I do not have any time at all for people that say such disgusting things about other human beings. I don't care if a person was to say that they want to get their entire body tattooed and they want to attach dragon horns to their heads. I may personally find that odd and not be for that myself, but if we're going to be a free society, you kind of have to accept that. Maybe not that extreme, but I think you get my point. It's like, look at Post Malone. I don't think people should get tattoos on their faces. I don't agree with it whatsoever. I personally find a problem with that. But am I going to go up to the man if I was ever to meet him and say, hey, you look a certain way, and then start attacking him for it? No, of course not. Um, I mean, obviously, being trans is completely different from that. But I think it kind of backs up the point that I was trying to make is that sometimes you just need to shut up and not give your opinion on things and recognize that, somebody like Post Malone having tattoos on their face um, doesn't mean that I have to get them or you have to get them. Doesn't mean that there's going to be a law passed that says everybody must have face tattoos. I think they're permanent. I could be mistaken, but I think they're permanent. Um, but yeah. Um, and I mean, I'm somebody who doesn't, completely understand uh, what it means for a person to be trans. But that doesn't matter because there's a lot of things I don't understand. Yeah. Um, I could kind of see it if a person had maybe been attacked by somebody who happened to be trans, and why that would generate a lot of hate within them. It still wouldn't excuse it, but at least there would be some rationale. Um, it's like, imagine if a person got beat up by somebody of a specific skin color, and because of the trauma, they saw anybody with that same skin color as being out to get them. obviously that's not true, but in their mind, you can understand why uh, they would have that kind of a reaction. For everybody else, there is no rationale um, behind it. People just have this strange belief in their heads that society's going to expect them to conform, and that is absolutely insane. It's also incredibly ironic when you consider the fact that those who are, you know, putting it in their heads that society is trying to make them conform to something are the very people that are actually trying to get them to conform to something. But they don't realize that. Wow. Yeah. We're very much so still in the Oonga Boonga cave, angry caveman, not fully developed brains stage. What does a pineapple have to do with anything? Were you asking if they had any pineapple, or were you not able to find pineapple? Uh, Jeez, that's always nice. Hmm, that's strange. Why didn't you wait? Why didn't you want a lighter with a pineapple? Due to what it implies. I must be missing something here. I also don't understand how pineapples could in any way correlate to a insult targeting somebody who's gay. Uh, oh, okay. Well, I mean, I would have just been like, how was I supposed to know? I'm not a mind reader. Of course, if it was me, I probably would have blown my top and said, you know what? I probably would have told him to shut up. Been like, you know what? If you're gonna flip out on me, keep it to yourself next time. Yeah. That's one of the many reasons why I don't care for human beings. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. Yes, it is. Target's not great either. So would I. I would want anybody with anybody who lacks human decency to lose their jobs. Because if you can't be respectful, you shouldn't have work. Because every job at one point uh, deals with other people. I don't know. Yeah, they're supposed to be doing a job, but they'd rather be texting. Yeah, it 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 reminds me of how one of my biggest pet peeves is when if I'm with someone and we're having a conversation and they're just staring at their phones, and I'm guilty of doing this myself, but I try not to be that way. But if I'm having a conversation, uh, and somebody is, not paying attention and texting, it frustrates me. Um, it makes me wonder, why am I even with you if you're just gonna stare at your phone the whole time and text? Um, oh, well, that's good. I mean, that's how it should be, but I'm sure there's some hotels that are able to get away with that. Somebody must not like this conversation, but because I just lost a like. Wonder if it got too controversial. Pretty much, at least in the U.S. That's not to say it doesn't happen in other places, but it seems to be significantly worse here. Also, where is he? Sia Dodano, apologies for not saying hi to you if you're still here. How's it going? Oh, man. Mm. Ah, jeez. Yeah. Because people, for some stupid reason, think that that's normal and think that anyone who isn't uh that are somehow not normal, which is just why do you say you don't like I assume you're referring to individuals who happen to be that and not, obviously not the entire community. I've actually spoken with somebody who's trans that flat out told me that she hates the trans community. And I forget why she told me that because I was shocked. I was like, "Wait, you do?" And I feel like okay, yeah. I feel like she said to me she doesn't like the fact that her community, uh, her words, not mine. I feel like I feel like she meant that she doesn't care for the fact that they, from her perspective, can tend to try and force their views onto other people. Now, I don't know if this is the case, but if that's true, then I could certainly understand why a person that's trans would hate the trans community. It doesn't mean the people that make up the community. It means it's kind of like vegans, right? There's obviously nothing wrong with somebody being vegan. I mean, it's scientifically, uh, not scientifically. It's not healthy to be vegan outright. There's nothing actually wrong with choosing to be it. Um, the only issue would stem from people that are vegan who try to force their dietary freedom onto someone else, or try to claim that somehow not being vegan makes you a bad person, or you're somehow unkind. Um, there's even people who believe that humans are not supposed to be consuming uh, the flesh of animals, which is just incorrect. But okay, sorry to hear that. um, yeah, apologies for the silence. Just for whatever reason, can't think of anything to say. um, I'm usually better as a responder than a starter, if that makes any sense. Um, I mean, once somebody starts, I pretty much never stop until I've run out of things to say. But this kind of reminds me of when I was in high school. There was someone who really liked me, but I didn't. Well, I didn't like her, um, and she pretty much flat out told me that I'm racist for not being attracted to her because I'm a white man and she's not white. Um, and that's always going to be a difficult situation because if a person doesn't like you, they assume it means that there's something physically wrong with them, or that the person who doesn't like them sees them as having something wrong with them, which you know is just not true. But it's like what can I do? I mean, I can't prove to you that that's not the case unless I was to just um, do what you wanted me to do, which I wasn't gonna do because you know, a person has a right to be with who they want to be with. I mean, not by which I mean, provided both parties are interested. Um, you know, shouldn't be forced into something, or I just take a chance with somebody because they said so and you didn't feel anything. Um, I mean, but oh wow, I've missed a lot of comments for some reason. That's something I've heard, but I can't speak on that. I also wouldn't want to speak on that because I'm a white man, and I wouldn't want it to come across a certain way. Hello there, is it Dev Lind? This is true. This is definitely true. It's rarely simple. Yeah, because you pretty much have to be seen as clean, and I don't mean that literally. I mean that in terms of people's perspective, a person's the populace's perspective on you, even though that's not literally hilarious, but that's ironically hilarious given the fact that you know I don't know. It reminds me of assuming I'm remembering it correctly. Uh, Years ago, when I was in group therapy, um, there was this bigger guy. He so happened to be black. I'm only mentioning that because it ties in with the point I'm gonna make. Um, and he showed up to the group therapy session late. Now, I should have known better than to make a joke, especially to someone who's a complete stranger and doesn't understand that I'm, trying to be funny. And I said, if I'm not mistaken, I think he had gone to the bathroom, and I said something like, what did you do? Go to the wrong bathroom?" Now, this made him really angry, but he kept it in check until after the group was over. And so after after the group was done, he comes out. He gets right up in my face. Now this guy is much taller than me. I want to say he was probably 6 foot. I'm 5. I'm 5'4". Uh, yeah, pretty much towered over me. And he shoves me. And he said, "Are you?" He didn't say this word. He said a more derogatory version of it, but he said, "Are you calling me a woman?" He was shoving me, like clearly trying to start a physical altercation. Now, you know, I didn't do anything because I was, petrified, and I tried to apologize, tried to, make it clear that I didn't mean to offend him, but the damage had already been done. Uh, and another person in the group, I also think he may have called me. He may have, suggested that I could somehow be racist because I told that very bad joke, that was in poor taste. And so his other guy, um, he gets involved. He pretty much tries to break up what could potentially be a fight. He tries to say, "Hey, man, you need to cut that out." And the big guy that's shoving me once or twice, he proceeds to then start wailing on the guy that was trying to break it up. And the guy who stood up for me, he didn't get hit a single time. He was on the defensive. He's doing quite well. You know, he's someone who clearly had been in fights in the past, and uh, you know, it was even revealed to me that had he not had an injured hand, he would have ended that fight and taken him down. Anyway, luckily security was contacted, and the person that started it all gets arrested. Um, and now I'm trying to remember what the point of my saying all that was, of what the point of my telling that story was. Um, I guess what I was trying to say is, to somebody who didn't know me, I could understand why they might think that I was being racist in that instance. Um, wasn't the case, but you know, people don't always consider the circumstances behind something. Uh, I hesitate to speak on these things because I'm a white man and I feel as though I shouldn't have a right to an opinion on them, unless I'm given that right. Um, but there was actually something that had happened in a mall near me years ago, where somebody called someone that word that you just referenced, and the person that he said it to put him in the hospital. Now, considering what the word means and considering that it's derogatory and it is incredibly offensive, while I realize that's no reason to assault somebody, uh, at the same time, I can also kind of understand why it might push somebody that far. Um, Obviously doesn't make it right, but again, I can understand why it might push someone that far. Although I did have a friend who tried to give me a pass in saying it. Uh, he said that I could call him it because you know, but it's like, I pretty much told him, I don't care that you're trying to give me a pass and saying it. I'm not going to do it because I think it's wrong to do so. I mean, my personal opinion is that nobody should say it, but I'm not going to tell people what they can and can't do, so long as it doesn't impact me or someone I know. Jeez. And the sad thing is, I mean, you pretty much already said this yourself, but some people would take that to mean that all individuals um like that are, you know, they would try to use that as evidence to back up their ridiculous claims and say, see, I told you all people like that are a problem, which is obviously not the case. But way too many people just don't see the big picture. Um, yeah, I'm really sorry to hear that. I hope you're doing better now. I can't imagine how horrific that must have been. Um, if I could say certain things, I would, but this is YouTube, and I don't want to say anything. Uh, I don't want to speak too deeply on things that I've experienced secondhand, but I knew someone that was in a similar situation to you, although race didn't play a part in it at all, so maybe I shouldn't have mentioned it. Name a car for an edit. What kind of an edit? I mean, if a person wants to use a word, that's their prerogative. I can say how I feel about using certain words, but that's not me trying to preach and tell people what they should and shouldn't do. Um, it's just for me personally, I find it morally wrong as a white person to use those words. Um, and yeah, there's counter arguments to that where people say, well, it's a word, and if other people use it, why can't we? Well, it's not that simple. It just isn't. People could make a comment to me about my being white, but I'm not going to be offended by it. Because why should I? I'm from a mostly privileged ethnicity of people uh, who, 9 times out of 10 are not subjugated to such things. Unless it's something about them individually that people want to demonize them for. I hope that person is no longer a threat to you. I realize that doesn't really help matters, but oh, yeah, that's not right. I mean, I don't need to tell you that, obviously. rough. I can understand that. Not sure how much my uh, saying anything about this is making an impact. I doubt it is. Um, you know, telling a person you're sorry to hear that they're dealing with difficult circumstances uh, probably doesn't mean much. I kind of have, I don't know if this is a real term, but I'm going to make it up. I kind of have a Superman complex where I want to be able to save the entire world, but, I don't have the power to do so. Well, I'm glad I can at least do that. I'm not exactly being 100% honest about how I really feel because my mother's home at the moment, and while she's not upstairs, you know, uh, you know, like if she wasn't here, yeah, there's a lot more I'd be saying on the subject. Uh, yeah, I live with my mom. I have for the entire time I've been alive. I've never lived alone. Mostly due to financial reasons. If I had a stable source of income and, you know, a way to make a significant amount of money, I probably would not be here anymore. um, but that's just the way it goes. Yes. Mm. 2 years younger than I am. Well, since it seems as though she's out on the patio, I can say what I'm gonna say. I never had experiences with this myself, but my mother did. Uh, Dealt with abuse for quite a long time. Um, I can maybe go more into detail with that if if I do a stream when I'm by myself, um, meaning the only person in the house, but not at the moment. VA? You mean what does VA mean? Yeah, and it really shouldn't be that way. Oh, so your son enlisted. I'm guessing he followed in his father's footsteps to some extent. Assuming your son uh, has the same father as my words are not making any sense right now. um, Probably shouldn't have assumed that to be the case. Okay. Yeah, I like I said, I shouldn't have assumed, but it's so easy to do so. Uh, it's stories, not stories. It's hearing things, seeing things, and hearing things like that make me not have a very good opinion of my fellow men, shall we say, not see, shall we say. Uh, and it's a thought. It's a belief I've had for a long time. There are good men, but my opinion has been that the vast majority are not. Um, because of my own experiences. First hand and second hand. I'd imagine it's just the ones that you've met personally. Um, I can't imagine it would be every single person. Um, but what do I know? Yeah, I mean this is my first time hearing that, but unfortunately, it's not surprising. Oh, wow, that's crazy. Okay. Yeah, sorry if I don't have much to say. I guess I'm kind of zoning out. It's not you. Just to be clear, I tend to do that from time to time. It's probably to do with my psyche and the fact that I've been so emotionally exhausted for a really long time. Um, well, psychologically and emotionally, but I guess I guess those two things are pretty much the same. I'm sure not. You know, I wouldn't dare to try and suggest that I've got it as hard as somebody else. Um, but yeah. What do you mean by caring? As soon as you said that, my first thought was Jim Carrey. I'll probably go on for about, I don't know, like 15 more minutes. I mean, I don't want to make this stream too long. Uh, Especially if, and don't take this personally, but especially if not a lot of people are engaged in the conversation. It could also, I could also, could also be due to the fact that while I didn't drink a lot, I did have a little beer yesterday. So it's possible that I'm still tired because I didn't get home until like 12:30, and woke up early in the morning. So, what about it? What do you mean? Yeah, I try to stay away from alcohol. I mean, because obviously it's not good for you, but also because while I'm not old, you know, I'm approaching 40, and that's when they say you need to watch things more than you did in the past. That's when cholesterol starts to become a serious concern for most people. No, that's a shame. Uh, Cause your streams sound way more interesting than mine do. You're actually doing stuff. You're actually giving people something to watch. Me, a lot of the time, it's just me having a conversation with one or two people, and that's it. I don't know why I have any engagement. Um, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this is a pretty boring stream. Again, nothing to do with you, just a personal thing. I'm honestly surprised that you know, people want to comment at all. But I don't know. I would love to know why anybody bothers to leave a comment or even like a stream. It's just one of those curious things that can't be explained. All right, coming up on 2 hours and 10 minutes. Um, and just to be clear to anyone who may be watching, um, just because just because we're having a conversation doesn't mean you can't leave a comment or ask a question. Don't feel discouraged. I don't know who the network people are. Is that the name of a channel? Or do you mean like the network that presides over YouTube itself? For crying out loud. Oh, that's lame. Okay. Wait, were you the one that said you're in PA? Or no, I think that was someone else. Yeah, that was someone else. Curious as to where that person is within the state of PA. Not that I, would want to meet, but yeah, I had a feeling. You probably said what state you're from before. Not that, you know, there's any reason to do so. Because I know there are people out there that would try to find somebody based on, the state they live in. You're in Georgia? Freaking MTG's territory. Ugh. I'm so sorry to hear that. I don't know who Jesse Wellens is. Who's Gina? Marjorie Taylor Greene. MTG. The perfect, the, you know. I thought she was a senator, the senator of Georgia, or one of. Wait, not senator. Representative. Right, right. Yeah, I don't know why I said senator. I meant to say representative. Hoping with all my heart that he keeps his seat, because while I recognize it's not as simple as all that, you know, any loss for that side is still a victory, albeit regardless how small it may be. Sadly, even if you had gotten a hold of her, she probably would have done nothing. Which is not how this is supposed to work, but. Ugh. Who's the governor of Georgia? I forget. I probably never knew who it was, and even if you told me the name of him or her, it wouldn't register. The only governors I know by name and where and what state they preside over are the one from my state, Newsom for California, Waltz, or is it Walls for Minnesota, and that's pretty much it. Oh, and I don't remember the guy's actual name, but the governor of Texas, who has an interesting moniker, which I'm afraid to say, because you never know who could be watching. Uh, I thought Greg Abbott was the governor of Texas. Isn't he the one that has the nickname of Hot Wheels? Or am I thinking of someone else? Yeah, but I don't know who the governor of Georgia is. Not that it matters. Yeah, that name sounds familiar. I'm not surprised to hear that. Honestly, even though I'm seeing Newsom get some degree of praise, he's not good either. I've heard some shady things about him uh, that make me believe that California deserves a much better governor than him. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's better than you know what they could have, but they could have a much better governor. I mean, I'm not that knowledgeable about politics, but if I had to guess, one of the best governors of this country is probably Shapiro. That's not the, again, I don't know much about politics, but he comes across as being a genuine person. Uh, and if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he rumored to have been like a presidential candidate at one point, Shapiro? Um, I know it's not always this simple, but when I get good vibes about a person, it usually means that there's a lot right with them. Shapiro's the governor of PA, not the Shapiro that has the podcast. Obviously, no relation. Um, he was the governor whose home was attacked. Somebody set fire to it. Absolutely, absolutely. I think Pritzker's mostly well liked, but he comes from a wealthy family, so people are gonna see him a bit differently due to that. And I believe he's the governor of Illinois. So I'm curious as to what people's opinions on Arnold was. Because I mean, I don't because he was once a governor of California. I wonder if they preferred him to Newsom. What's EW? I know this wouldn't fix things, but I think if we got people who were not rich in any respect, yeah, but I don't know. This is gonna sound controversial, but I don't know if I should say it. Like, yeah, it's good that he does those things, but I don't see them doing anything crazy that really gets people riled up or really gets people, uh, motivated or really gets people believing in them. Um, like, when you see them talking about how they're trying to fight for the people, they're trying to do this, they're trying to do that, trying to do this, and, we're trying to stand for people's health care and blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, that's nice, but you still get health care as a result of being in politics, as a result of being a senator, being in Congress. You still get a paycheck, no matter what. When, people who pay taxes might be losing all of that. So it's like if you really feel this strongly about it, why wouldn't you do something as crazy as refuse to work and quit en masse? And I know that would be awful, because if all the Democrats and, anyone who's against all this stuff were to quit, that would make it even easier for them to get stuff through. But maybe it would also kind of make the government even less uh capable of getting things done, because all the smart people would quit and all the morons would still be in. Um, it might even send a message to other people. It's like, look, we gave up our positions. We gave up the cushy job that we still have, and we're gonna bring ourselves down to your level. So yeah, it's nice to see that you care, but at the same time, you're never gonna be in those same circumstances. So how much do you really care? Because you're not going to, I mean, I doubt it's even possible to do this, but you're not going to say things like, I'll give up my health care because so many other people aren't going to have it. I probably have one of them, but I haven't played it in a long time. Well, what am I talking about? Probably. I have at least one of them. That's rough. Yes, I do. One of the older ones. Yep. Well, it should be for everybody because not everyone can work. We need to get out of that mindset that if a person's not doing anything, they shouldn't get anything. That's ridiculous. We need someone who's gonna bring new ideas to the table, um, like Andrew Yang. And did I just say Andrew Yang, who proposed, if I'm remembering correctly, he proposed this idea where people would earn a form of credit by getting involved in their communities, and it would be, I guess, kind of like a credit card in a way. And by helping people out, they would earn credit, which would be an excellent idea because it would more or less make it so that people who can't find or can't work for whatever reason, they can still earn some kind of living just by being helpful. Which sounds fantastic. Of course, obviously, all your politicians are not going to go for that because, well, I mean, it's still a nice idea on paper. I don't think there'd be any strings attached to it. I think it was just an attempt to help people who can't work at all um, still be productive in some way and still have something to show for it. Um, if it was combined with healthcare for everyone, um, then it might mean something. Mm, yeah, yeah. Wow. I feel like to some extent it's due to expecting too much. It's due to wanting too much. It's due to the obsession with material items. Um, it's not realistic, but obviously, if we lived in a society to where people could afford literally everything they want, you wouldn't have these problems. But I don't think even in a world where actual progress was happening, I don't think that would be remotely possible. I mean, I'd love to say, hey, let's criminalize having too much money. Let's criminalize, let's make it to where if you have $1 billion, you're forced to either donate or be taxed to the point where you're giving at least 400 million of that or more. But I'm afraid to say that's probably never going to happen. You'll need something really drastic to make that happen. Drastic and ugly. But even when people try to say let the government control things, it's like okay, there's some problems with that too because it depends on who's actually in charge of the government. Yep. Oh man. Nope. If I gave my opinion on what should be done, a lot of people would call me crazy because of just how unrealistic it seems. But even requiring people who run for office to be educated and actually know about the job that they're doing would probably make a big difference. You know, imagine if you required every person that was going to run for some kind of election to have studied and know about the law, and then you required them to I don't know, like it'll never happen, sadly, but like imagine where we'd be if to be president you had to have at least been a former governor or former senator or formerly in some kind of government position before ever becoming president. Yeah, and honestly, I feel like we need to do away with the nonsense, considering the fact that we live in a country where a lot of people that live here were not born here originally. They're the great grandchildren of immigrants. So I think we need to get rid of that whole foreigner uh, nonsense and just let anybody who's been here a citizen for at least 10 years to be able to run. Because if I'm not mistaken, isn't that how it works in Canada, for example? Carney wasn't born in Canada, wasn't he from England or some other country? And he was able to run for prime minister. Yeah, I think we need to get rid of that, uh, you know, birth nonsense as a prerequisite for being president, because you can be a governor and have been from a previous country, Yeah, that would at least make it so that there's more people who can run. I agree with that, but the sad thing is, having a college degree does not necessarily mean that you're smart and know what you're doing. A lot of people, there are idiots who have college degrees. Getting a degree does not mean you've actually had to use that degree. A person could go to law school and get a degree, but then not have any experience as a lawyer or not have any experience uh, as a public servant. Getting a law degree does not guarantee you're actually going to be good at the job that you're doing. I don't know who those two are, but unfortunately, it feels as though everybody's an embarrassment. Anyway, uh, I'm gonna start thinking about wrapping this up. Uh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna think about wrapping this up soon. I went on a lot longer than I expected to. So I guess I'll give it, I don't know, 3 or 4 more minutes. Let people get in final comments. Thanks for stopping by, taking part in the conversation, giving a like. thank you to any of my new subscribers as of this stream. Um, and yeah, I'll talk to you all later.